In the last video, I discussed the various references contained in The Secret of Monkey Island. If you thought that the first game in the series had a large number of references, then you're in for a treat, because its sequel decided to cram in so much more. For this video, we're going to look into the references found in Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge Special Edition, the most accessible copy of Monkey Island 2 at present. So why not get comfy, fetch yourself a near grog or two, and watch on to see how many references you recognise. And if I've missed any, please pop a comment down below in the comments. So without further ado, let's return back to the Monkey Film Caribbean. As we mentioned in the previous video, LucasArts is a part of Lucasfilms, the creator of some pretty big franchises such as Indiana Jones and Star Wars series. In the previous game, the developers liked to sprinkle in some references to these franchises, which is also continued on in its sequel. One such example of this can be seen on Scab Island, where Guybrush can order a drink. In order to do this, he needs to show them some ID, which he can customise with his job title. One of the jobs he can list is Pirate, to which the bartender states,
"Pirate? We don't serve your type here."
This is a reference to Star Wars A New Hope, where the bartender also tells the protagonist this.
Hey, we don't serve their kind here.
What?
Your droids. They'll have to wait outside. We don't want them here.
Towards the end of part 2, Guybrush is sent on an errand by the photographer Wally, who sends him to the Voodoo Lady. While there, Wally is kidnapped and the Voodoo Lady senses this. Startled, she comments,
"Wait, I just felt a sudden disturbance in the Force. As if a tiny, tiny voice just called out in fear, and then hastily scratched a message in a table."
This is of course a reference to Star Wars A New Hope, where Obi-Wan Kenobi senses a disturbance in the Force after Alderaan is destroyed by the Death Star.
Are you alright? What's wrong?
I felt a great disturbance in the Force, as if millions of voices suddenly cried out in terror and were suddenly silenced.
The references to Star Wars are not only just contained to the movies either. While crashing Elaine Marley's Mardi Gras party, Guybrush can look at himself in the mirror. When he does, he comments,
"Hey, it's Kyle Katarn."
Kyle Katarn is one of the more prominent characters in the extended universe of Star Wars, appearing in several games such as Star Wars Dark Forces and Star Wars Jedi Outcast. It's worth also noting that these games actually came out after the original release of LeChuck's Revenge, which originally came out in 1991, meaning that the original release did not actually contain this. Unfortunately, I don't have access to the original copies of Monkey Island 2, but having researched this, it appears that Guybrush instead commented that he resembled Zonker Harris in a dress. Harris was a character from the comic strip series Doonesbury, who sported a few similarities to Guybrush, such as his blonde hair and his beard. However, let's move back on to Star Wars. Perhaps the biggest Star Wars reference can be seen at the end of the game, where the zombie pirate LeChuck confronts his foe and drops a rather cliché spoiler.
I am your brother.
No, that's not true. That's impossible.
As you may have undoubtedly realised, this is a reference to the reveal in Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, where Darth Vader reveals that he's Luke Skywalker's father.
No, I am your father.
No, it's not true. That's impossible.
While the original iteration did not actually have voice acting, the remake had Dominic Armato provide us with the lovable voice of Guybrush, and he absolutely nailed the Luke Skywalker impression. This is later continued when Guybrush rips off the limbs of LeChuck, and the undead pirate begs his foe to remove his mask.
Guybrush,
What?
come over here.
No way. I'm not that stupid.
But I want you to take my mask off. See the true face of your brother.
Which takes us back into Star Wars with Return of the Jedi, where a dying Anakin Skywalker begs his son to remove his mask.
Help me take this mask off.
Moving on to other Lucasfilms LPs, LeChuck's Revenge sports a few references to the beloved series Indiana Jones. In fact, one of the items that Guybrush can look at in the store on Booty Island is a whip. When highlighted, it's even called Indy's Whip, of course referencing the titular character's famous whip. Another reference to the famous archaeologist can be seen on Fat Island, where Guybrush needs to steal a book from on top of the governor without waking him. To do this, he needs to swap the book with another. This is pretty similar to a scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, where Indy attempts to replace a gold statue with a bag of dirt. While also on Fat Island, another reference can be seen in the library. Within the catalogue is a book reference that Guybrush can find called X Never Marks the Spot, which is written by the author I. Jones, which is obviously a reference to Indiana Jones. It even comes under the archaeology category. There are a few references contained in this catalogue, but I'll come back to that soon to keep things a bit more succinct. Indiana Jones is again referenced later, when Guybrush resurrects the deceased Weenie Hut cook, Rapscallion, who asks Guybrush to make sure the gas in his hut is turned off. Guybrush can demand that he give him the map piece first.
Give me the map and I'll check the gas for you.
Check the gas and I'll give you the map.
Guybrush can keep pushing for this, with Rap saying no, until finally, the cook responds with,
Check the gas and I'll throw you the whip. I mean, give you the map.
This is a reference to Raiders of the Lost Ark, where someone insists that Indy throw them the idol, and they'll throw him his signature whip.
Give him the whip. Throw me the idol. No time to argue. Throw me the idol, I throw you the whip. Give me the whip.
Finally, with relation to the Indiana Jones franchise, when Guybrush discovers the treasure of Big Whip, he finds it's too far to reach. To reach it, he uses a rope and crowbar to swing across, which starts to play the famous Indiana Jones theme before Guybrush fumbles, and the tune fades awkwardly, bringing us back to the start of the game. There are also a few other movie references that the player may notice. One such that can be seen is when Guybrush orders a drink in the Bloody Lip, where he states that he would like his grog
shaken, not stirred.
This is a famous line often used by British spy James Bond.
Vodka martini. Shaken, not stirred.
Guybrush also talks to two pirates at the start of the game, known as Bart and Fink. Together, their name is a reference to the 1991 movie Bart and Fink. Another movie reference is found on Booty Island at Elaine's, where Guybrush sneaks into her party. When he's caught stealing her grandfather's map piece and she realises who it is, she states,
"All the parties and all the houses on all the islands of the Caribbean, he had to crash mine."
This would be a reference to the classic movie Casablanca, uttered by Humphrey Bogart's character.
Of all the gin joints in all the towns in all the world, she walks into mine.
Another reference can be seen when Guybrush speaks to the fisherman on Fat Island. He can tell the fisherman he's a game warden and has to confiscate his pole. The fisherman calls his bluff and asks for his badge, to which Guybrush responds with,
"I don't have to show you any stinking badge."
Now this could realistically be attributed to two different movies. First, we can consider this to be a reference to the 1974 movie Blazing Saddles. When offered a badge, one of the characters states,
"Badges? We don't need no stinking badges! Oh no!"
However, the quote also appears to be an allusion to another Humphrey Bogart movie from 1948, The Treasure of Sierra Madre, where a Mexican bandit utters,
"Badges? We ain't got no badges. We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges."
Better not come any closer.
Scab Island also houses the three men of lower moral fibre, who returned from the previous game. They mentioned they were on Fat Island, where they were made an offer they couldn't refuse. This is a reference to the 1972 movie The Godfather, where Marlon Brando's character states,
"I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse."
While also on Scab Island and talking to Rapscallion, the cook finally gives Guybrush his piece of the map and fades away, with the last thing to disappear being his thumb, which is reminiscent to the ending of the 1991 movie Terminator 2, where the titular Terminator sinks into the lava, the last thing to be seen is his thumb. Terminator 2 is again referenced on Fat Island, where Guybrush announces,
"I'll be back,"
much like the famous line from the Terminator.
"I'll be back."
There are also a few references to a few television shows too. When Guybrush looks at his oar after it's been repaired by the woodsmith, he states,
"It looks better, stronger, faster."
Definitely a funny quip about something simple like an oar, but it's also a reference to the $1 Million Man.
Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
Another television reference is when Guybrush steals poor Wally's monocle, leaving the little guy concerned, stating,
"Who's there? I can't see anything without my monocle."
This reference is Velma Dinkley from the Hanna-Barbera series, Scooby-Doo, the character often losing her glasses on the ground, as she fumbles around stating,
"Hey, my glasses! I can't see without them! They should be around here somewhere."
Some players may notice a few further references to some other cartoon characters in the Booty Island costume shop. Two main ones that I can identify are a caveman costume and a sailor mask, which appear to be a reference to Fred Flintstone and Popeye respectively. In fact, the caveman is actually called Fred. In the previous game, there were references to Sam and Max and Day of the Tentacle, some of the other games from the company. This continues into the sequel, where Guybrush can spot the furry duo in the costume store. Like the original game, it looks like Sam and Max couldn't be shown in the remastered version, so instead they were replaced by a tentacle from Maniac Mansion and Day of the Tentacle instead. Another reference to Maniac Mansion can be seen in the Bloody Lip, where Guybrush can order a bloody stump. The bartender then makes a joke, stating,
"I can't! Chainsaw's out of gas!"
This is a reference to Maniac Mansion, where the player can find a chainsaw in the kitchen. When trying to use it, they are told it is out of gas. The chainsaw acts as a red herring, as there is in fact no gas to be found in the game. Some new appearances also show up in the special edition with the now clearer visuals. Upon entering Governor Fat's mansion, Guybrush can spot a few paintings, one of which showing a skeleton. This skeleton is Manny Calavera, the protagonist of LucasArts' 1998 adventure game Grim Fandango. There are also a few references to the company LucasArts itself. The logo of the company appears several times throughout this game. One in the library, and another can also be seen in Stan's previously owned coffins, whereas the final can be seen in LeChuck's fortress. Another reference is found on Dinky Island, where Guybrush can find a phone in the jungle. If used, he can then phone up LucasArts' helpline, which was actually the real phone number at the time. The number also used the word Jedi, which is another reference to Star Wars. The player can ask questions about the previous game, while also asking,
"When is Swallow gonna ship?"
"It's been out for some time now. Where have you been, playing some frustrating graphic adventure?"
This is a reference to Secret Weapons of the Luftwaffe, which was a World War II flight simulator made by LucasArts in 1991. One of the largest references can be found from Disney itself in the Fat Island jail, where Guybrush finds himself locked away with a dog holding the jail key and having to lure it with a bone. This is a reference to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland, which featured 3 jailed pirates attempting to lure a dog over that had a key. Ron Gilbert, the creator of the game, has also cited this ride as one of the inspirations for the Monkey Island series as a whole. Even the dog is called Walt, sharing the name of Disney's founder, Walt Disney. At the end of the game, Guybrush finds himself as a kid again, with the whole game supposedly the imagination of a young child and the fabled Big Whoop treasure as a ticket into the Big Whoop amusement park. Guybrush finds that the chest only contains an item referred to as an e-ticket. While nowadays e-ticket would refer to a ticket bought online, this is actually a reference to an e-ticket that Disneyland had between 1955 and 1982 that allowed the holder to the most popular rides at the amusement park. Want to know one particular ride that required an e-ticket? The very Pirates of the Caribbean ride that helped shape Monkey Island into the series it is today. Another reference to Disney can be seen in the Fat Island Library's catalogue system, where a few books can be checked out under the offer Walt Disney. Another reference to the Disney creator. One of his books is called Under the Surface, which could also be a reference to the Disney Renaissance 1989 film The Little Mermaid, which takes place and features a song called Under the Sea. This ultimately brings us back to the Fat Island Library I mentioned earlier, and that houses a number of references, a large number that may in fact have gone over my head, but I've done my best to go through this. One book that can be found is written by Guybrush's old crew member Meat Hook, titled Breakfast at Meat Hook's, which is a reference to the 1958 novel Breakfast at Tiffany's, and the 1961 movie of the same name. Another reference can be seen in a book by Lemonhead, one of the cannibals from the previous game. His book is called How to Serve Your Fellow Man, which references a Twilight Zone episode where the Earth is visited by aliens who are looking to eat the humans, using a cookbook referred to as To Serve Man.
Mr. Chambers, don't get on that ship! The rest of the book, To Serve Man, it's a cookbook!
Guybrush can also find a book titled Alfredo and Bill's Excellent Adventure, which is a reference to the most bodacious 1989 movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. The library also has a book titled The Majesty of the Sierras. Guybrush can check this book out and when prompted will state,
Sierras? Majestic? I think not.
This is a dig towards LucasArts rivals at the time, Sierra, who made their own point-and-click adventure games such as Space Quest and King's Quest. There is also a book called The Little Organ That Could, which references the Watty Piper book The Little Engine That Could. The Joy of Hex, meanwhile, references the Alex Comfort book The Joy Sex, while Pirates Who Love Too Much references the Rob Norwood book Women Who Love Too Much. Another prominent book reference is Great Expectorations by Captain Loogie, which references the Charles Dickens novel Great Expectations. And finally in this catalogue, another book is Life Cycle of the Shrew, which would likely be a reference to William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. The references don't just end at the catalogue though. In order to take the book out, Guybrush needs to apply for a library card. When he does, he's asked to provide his address, which results in several potential answers. 221 Baker Street is also known as the address belonging to famous British detective Sherlock Holmes. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is the address of the White House in the United States. 10 Downing Street is the address where the British Prime Minister lives. 1060 West Addison is the address of Wrigley Field in Chicago. Another book reference on Booty Island is a poster in the antique store showing a great white whale that has never been caught, referencing the Melville book Moby Dick. Music-wise, there are a few references that I could find. One of the books found on Fat Island features famous pirate quotations, one of which is Happiness is a Warm Manatee, which references the Beatles song Happiness is a Warm Gun. Another music reference can be found when talking to Herman Toofrod, who asks Guybrush what colour a tree is when it falls, and no one is around. Guybrush lists through an absurd number of colours, one of which is Deep Purple. Deep Purple is actually a heavy metal band formed in 1968. Unfortunately, there are a few music references that I won't be able to show clearly, but supposedly in the original version of Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge, Guybrush would be able to inhale helium and would then sing songs. Obviously in the original version, voice acting was not a thing, so they likely had to remove this from the voice version. However, Guybrush would make references to songs by the Bee Gees, Donny and Marie Osmond, Casey and the Sunshine Band, while also performing songs from the Mary Tyler Moore Show and The Wizard of Oz. After all that, I'm certain I've managed to list as many of the Monkey Island 2 LeChuck's Revenge references as possible. As I mentioned, it was a pretty long list, but I feel certain there might be a few things I've missed. If there's anything I've missed, please let me know in the comments below and I'll happily include that in a future video for pop culture references in Curse of Monkey Island, indicating that people have named and shamed me for missing a reference in a near 30-year-old video game. Again, if you have enjoyed this video, then I would hope you might like the video. Otherwise, I'll have to make a voodoo doll and rip its limbs off and then use that ripped off hand to like it for you. You don't want that. Please also think about subscribing, as I really enjoyed making this and I wouldn't want you to miss out on this more, as I plan to continue on with this pop culture series soon. But for now, thank you so much my friends, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.